have Annie McCary here, who's going to talk to us a little bit about something that is very important, especially during our summer months. Well, welcome, Annie. How are you?
Thank you, Lisa, and I'm wonderful. It's a very nice, warm day outside today, and
Yes.
I'm enjoying it.
Well, it is great, and as I mentioned earlier in our show, we're looking at some nice weather, which would bring people to want to barbecue and cook maybe a little bit more and do some things that could potentially be unsafe. So you're here to remind them about ways to cook and barbecue safely. So I love that. So, let's just jump right in. We've got a lovely photo of a kitchen behind us, and we've got a nice big red fire extinguisher.
Exactly. And what a perfect place to have a fire extinguisher in your kitchen, although that looks like a gas burner on that particular photo. Here in the village, most of our stoves are electric. So,
Electric, okay.
which electrical fires happen as frequently as gas fires do as well.
Well, yeah, or, you can still have something on the stovetop and it could be boiling, and then who knows, you could have a fire. And you can't throw water on those kinds of fires. You have to use the fire extinguisher.
Absolutely, you have to.
And what are some of the, what are some of the things like here, just some ideas of what we should be doing?
Well, one of the first things, and really important thing, is that make sure that you have a fire extinguisher and have it someplace close by. And since most of the times fires occur either in the kitchen or in a laundry room someplace, so wherever that is, it's always a good idea to have a fire extinguisher on hand.
Exactly. Now, of course, it doesn't have to be as large as the one we have in the picture. They do sell some small ones that would still be sufficient enough, and you can kind of store that under the sink.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
And that's a great idea. And we want people to think about something that's practical, because if you got the big, huge one, it may not be practical for some of us who may not be able to handle it. So the smaller ones are much easier.
Yeah, they can be heavy. And of course, anytime you have reason to call 911, you certainly should do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. We don't want people running around. If you haven't and it's just smoke or a small fire, you can use your fire extinguisher, but also call 911, because there may be some other damage done that we might not be able to assess personally.
Well, it could be something in the wall.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, so when using a fire extinguisher, what are some things that we should keep in mind?
So we've got some nice little rules set up here. Remember to use, we used to call it, I think we still call it pass, a technique. When using an extinguisher, you pull, you aim, and then you squeeze, and then you sweep. So it's like a sweeping motion.
Oh.
You pull the little knob off to unlock it, and then you aim at the fire or a little bit adjacent to the fire, and you sweep across.
Oh, okay.
Or you squeeze the handle, and then you sweep across.
Oh, okay. All right. Good to know, because I guess if you just kept it in one spot, it wouldn't cover the whole thing. Okay.
And another good thing about something to remember about fire extinguishers is not just any old fire extinguisher will do. The newer fire extinguishers have a multi-purpose, such as one for Class A, B, and C fire. And Class A, as you can see, is an ordinary combustible like a cloth, wood, or paper. Class B, anything flammable like liquids, grease, gasoline, or oil. And then Class C is electrical appliance. And this one extinguisher is able to address all of those classes of fire.
Oh, okay. And I noticed you put a link there where you can go to the ocfa.org, safety programs, cooking fires, and that's where you can watch a video on how to use the fire extinguisher.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's really, really a nice resource to have as the Orange County Fire Authority, because they are really part of our good neighbors here in Laguna Woods Village, and they have so much information that they're willing to share with us.
Oh, absolutely. That is great. And sometimes they have not so much classes, but presentations, and they'll do it at a location. Like I know around Christmas time, it's amazing to me to watch how quick a Christmas tree can burn. Because they do that, because it gets super dry and it just goes poof and it's gone. So some things to keep in mind if you want to watch some demonstrations that they have. Okay, so we also have smoke detectors that oftentimes we just forget about.
Oh, smoke detectors, we do forget. I know I forget about mine, and I have to make myself a little note or something to make sure that it's working properly, because it's something that if you don't use, most of the time we don't even think about it, but it's a valuable, valuable piece of equipment to have in your house.
Well, exactly. And then, we were talking about this off camera, that sometimes they do chirping. And I guess that's because you need to replace the batteries. So you're writing a note. Some people say, well, you know what, every time we change the clocks, we're going to go ahead and change our batteries. But now I don't think we're going to observe daylight savings anymore, so you better write your note now.
Yes, absolutely. And you mentioned about the chirping sound, and that's a really good indicator that it's probably time to change the battery in them.
Okay, and you know what, I think most of the units probably have some sort of working smoke detector, but if you want additional ones, are there other places we should be putting them?
Yes, in the kitchen specifically, I have one in my hallway of my unit, and it's directly above my wash and dryer. So oftentimes when I'm drying clothes, if it gets too humid in the area, then it signals my fire alarm, my smoke alarm. So any kind of heat in my unit triggers the smoke alarm. So, and it doesn't just do the little chirp, it goes off and it sounds an alarm. So.
Okay, and then one thing I thought was interesting on the last one you have, consider special alarms with strobe lights or bed shakers if household residents are hearing impaired. I didn't even know they sold things like that.
I just recently heard about something like that, because we do have people that are hearing impaired, and you know, what a lifesaver that could turn out to be with making some kind of shaking noise or vibration noise.
Exactly. Yeah, you would have to know because you may not be able to hear that. Because a lot of people take their hearing aids out and put them in their little, you know, rechargeable thingy, and then they're never going to hear it. So that's crazy. But good information. So replace them when? Like the actual unit itself,
the
not just the battery.
unit itself. It says the recommendations now are to replace them every 10 years.
Okay.
And you should test them at least once a month. It's hard for some people, probably a lot of people, to get up, because you have to climb up on a ladder because it's in the ceiling, and to push that little test button. But can you just use
like a handle from a broom? Can that work?
I've not tried that, but the little red knob is very visible, so you could probably do that as well.
Because also save your ears.
Yes,
because you get up there and it's going to be kind of loud.
It is pretty loud and pretty intense.
And then, like you mentioned, change the 9-volt smoke alarm batteries twice a year.
Twice a year.
Or when you hear the chirping sound, right? Yeah. Oh, here, you just said the chirping sound, so perfect. Well, this is really great information. Is there anything we might have missed? Well,
no.
Barbecue safety, we really didn't go into too much, but there is concerns that some people do have the barbecue possibly too close.
And that's a good point, absolutely. And we have, Third Mutual have guidelines regarding barbecue grills. And there's a really nice article in this month's issue of the Village Breeze that talk about barbecue and barbecue safety and the type of barbecue grills that you can actually have. And of course, with any of this, to answer your earlier question, with any of this, if there is any kind of a suspicion of a fire, we don't want anyone hesitating to call the fire department. Please dial 911.
Okay.
Even if it's a small scale fire, we just never know.
Exactly, because you may have thought you've completed, taken care of it on the surface, but then, like we mentioned, something could be in the walls, so.
Exactly, right. And summertime is coming up and people are raring up to get those barbecue grills going. So we just want everybody to be safe.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for the information and the reminders.
Thank you.
All
My
right.
pleasure.
If you want more information about all of the things that we have discussed, of course, you can always go to our website, which is lagunawoodsvillage.com, and type in safety, and you'll bring you to a lot of different things, including disaster preparedness, as well as barbecue safety. And of course, as Annie mentioned, you can always pick up the edition of the local Village Breeze, and there are articles in there about being safe. We'll be right back.